Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Okay! Welcome to FMLFPL 1!
This Walsh.
The grand finale. The finale before the actual finale.
Yeah.
So we're doing this one, which is probably going to be 2+ hours. Big post-mortem we do every year.
I don't know about 2+.
That's the norm. That's the norm. But we'll see what we actually do. And then what we're going to do is on Monday, do one final post-mortem behind the Patreon paywall, so we can kind of like let tonight digest, respond to stuff, get more questions, get more topics, whatever. And that is where we're at, dude.
Yeah. End of another, put another season in the books. Yeah,
it's crazy. We've been around for a long time.
Yeah, we're just fucking in rhythm right now.
I know. I think this is season 8.
Season 8. More seasons in succession.
Yeah. Not more than some other shows, but we're approaching. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to all the Patreon subscribers who keep the show running. Let's just fucking move on, right?
Yeah,
anything else? That's a pod. Let's do a pod. That's it. All right, let's start with a brief Game Week 38 here, like we normally do on a normal pod. I finished on 65 points. I finished at 20K overall. Pretty happy with that. I brought in Kane for Holland, captained him. That was everything. I went up like 13K or something like that to finish my second ever best season. So
what a nice round number, 20K.
Round clean number, 20K.
Great fucking job by you, buddy.
Thank you.
20K. That's a great season.
I know, it's fucking
in this economy?
In this economy, I did better than a lot of people. There's people,
11 million people playing this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
a fucking great season.
20K is fucking awesome. A great season.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah,
it feels better
capping Kane. Spiking up to basically as high as you could possibly imagine, like finale.
Yeah.
Finishing off on that note is so satisfying.
It's so good. So yeah, I'm pumped. Good job by me. Good job by you helping me get there. Jump over to Walsh team.
Great finish.
Finish on a -8, bring in triple Palace. I mean, and you still got a 40K green arrow somehow. Things are just different in the millions. It's like it's like going to the deep south. It's just like there's different rules and different norms, and I don't know what works and doesn't work. But
yeah, you walk in
Ollie Cap was good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Look around, you're like, where am I?
Where am I again? Red Lobster, nicest restaurant in town. Okay.
Best Italian food? Olive Garden, baby.
Olive Garden, and for some reason it's like $30 entree still, like as if it's actually good. I don't know what's going on. But Captain Ollie did the thing for you. Trips really just hammering home how bad he's been in this second half of the season.
Dude,
with the 0.
Last on the bench. I couldn't get away from him. Literal.
I didn't know that. Because I just see this final image.
Yeah, last on my bench. I cannot get away from him. It's not possible.
So good.
Fucking comes in no matter what.
So good. And it comes in with a 0. Like it required 3 zeros to get him in, and he gives you a 0 right back. That's beautiful.
Stones was
what a transfer. 0, 2, 1, 0, 0, 6. I got him
at the first 0.
At the first 0. So 0, 0, combined 3 points in the double game week 0.
It's amazing. I still love him so much.
Yeah, and he's so good and so integral to their success this year.
Yeah, it's so funny how in the game there are players like that could do something like this to me, personally attack me in this way, and I just don't care. And I love them, and I'll go back. I know it. Yeah. And then there are others when this happens, and it's just never again. Never again. I don't want to see you ever again. You will never be on my team again.
It's the classic Gordon Ramsay meme.
Yeah.
It's like, oh dear, gorgeous is you with stones. And then the next frame is just, you fucking donkey, to someone else. And it's literally perfect.
Yeah. Like if I brought like Ben Mee in and he did that.
Oh my God.
Might as well just like wipe him away from the universe and
just get him out of the game immediately. So there we are. There we have it. League updates. Last league updates of the year. Cup winner Richard Malore. Good job by you. Has not chosen a custom kit yet. He'll let us know, but what a fucking run. Cannot imagine winning the cup. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Shout out to the May mug winners. Yeah, hit him up. He hasn't chosen his kit yet, but he's fucking off the wall. He's excited. Awesome. He thought the finals were just Game Week 37. He DM'd me after 37 and was like,
what a fucking idiot.
Am I seeing this right? Is it 37, 38 or what? And he's like, oh God, I need to like take heart pills.
Isn't it literally on the rule page?
Yeah, everyone reads the rule page meticulously, as we've learned over the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's actually... That's a sociological experiment. Like when you have a question like this, like what do you do? And then we could pull, put the rule page. What different humans would do. It's like immediately contact the human being. Like double check something. Like ask a friend. Like read a fucking thing. It's so funny.
Interesting, actually.
Yeah,
right?
It's interesting.
It's like your internet goes out. Like, do you unplug your router or do you just wait on hold with Verizon for 30 minutes?
Light a candle.
Light a candle or just go to sleep, read a book. I don't know.
Yeah.
The 3 mug winners for May: Daniel Eliason, aka Content, don't know. Pat Riley, aka Nasty Boys, and then a tie for 3rd between Jack Brinkworth, aka Molly's Mob, and Dean Swallow, aka Sydney's Super Subs. Good job by you. I DM'd everyone already. Respond with all your shit so I can send you a mug. And then shout out to the winner of the FMLFPL Public League, Tom Appadale, aka Apaz FC, 162nd overall, number 1 in Australia. Not bad. Not bad, Tom.
Good job, Tom. And all of you other folks. Let's kind of debrief what we have. We have your notes, my notes, questions, basically.
Yeah, and the questions, I tried to break them down into like sort of macro stuff. Then there's questions about like our seasons past, and then there's questions about next season, and finally lifestyle questions.
I think like this season. Okay, I don't know. Yeah. So what do you want to? Where do you want to? What do you want?
I'm happy to go anywhere.
Because all my notes are next year. They're literally all next year.
Most of them. Most of them. Yeah.
Or they're like, how can we take something from this year and apply it to next year?
Right. So let's just start with, I don't know, macro maybe.
Sure.
And that'll just get us going a little bit. So friend of the pod, Svenny, said, this is a question for the post-mortem. With more players each year.
Great.
Yeah, gotta set your terms. With more players each year, do we have to redefine success? I'm going to, without a doubt, score more points this season than any other season I've ever played in. Yet this is going to be my worst finish by a considerable margin. Seems like a similar thing happened to Walsh, who's going to score in the range of what he always scores, and more than the season he finished in the top 15K. Is the influx of people and also likely bots making the game more about your mini leagues and cups than the overall rank?
I mean, I've never even noticed what actual overall points I get.
Yeah, it's so. I mean,
relative. there's also chips. I mean, that wasn't mentioned in the question. That also just adds like 6. I mean, that's worthless. That metric is completely useless. But yeah, I think defining success. We touched on that a little bit last pod. That you have to. I think be aware and conscious of, why are you playing this game and what are you doing? If you're playing this game to win, hope to win $1,400 in your mini league, then you're going to be operating in a different rule, within a different confine, different rule set than, getting -8 triple palace on Game Week 38. Like, you know, it's what success. I mean, it's a fucking fantasy game. So no fucking gives a shit, you know?
Yeah,
it's
basically.
Whatever, right? I mean, it's fun to do well. It's a puzzle game. It's, you know, whatever, right? So, but yeah, I mean, the top 10K thing is, I think, just very ancient at this point.
It's very dated, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what percent even is that? It's like,
now it's probably
fraction of a percent.
Yeah, now it would probably, like, if you think of the top 10K back, you know, 6 years ago, when it was more relative and attainable, I think it would probably now look more like top 90K or something.
Yeah,
like something
just
in
by
that
the
region.
scale.
Yeah, if you try to rough estimate scale it up. But you know, you still want to do the points, right?
Yeah, I think it's just, I agree with you, first of all, that the total points just don't matter at all. Every season's different. Like, this is the Haaland season. Everyone scored 500 points with Haaland because we all captained him for 20-ish game weeks. You know, it's just different. But yeah, I mean, you just define your own success. I mean, you should not rely on whatever insert content creator says is a good or isn't a good season. That's just a recipe for downfall and frustration and self-loathing. I'm sure a lot of people still consider top 10K the benchmark, and I'm fucking stoked I got 20K. I don't give a shit what they think. It's like, for me, it's a great year. So, you know, whatever.
Totally.
Captain Mario said, why the fuck don't they just move the deadline to after the first game's lineups come out? And then Jeff replied and said, a leaker on Twitter mentioned a deadline at kickoff of the first match would potentially make leaks even more powerful. First kickoff is usually a standalone match, so currently we only get leaks in one match. If the deadline was off the kickoff of the first match, we might get leaks about all the matches in the next slate. The obvious answer is to make the game more like Fantasy Champions League.
I can't do this one.
I know.
I'm so... This is like the bonus points. It's just like...
It's just... Everyone knows it's bad. Everyone knows whatever decision they make is going to be stupid because they've already shown that to be the case, and it doesn't work and doesn't prevent leaks at all. And so
the actual actors that are leaking are the whether it's a human being or an AI bot, they are despicable human beings.
Yeah, they're the worst.
They literally sit in their basement obtaining this information and spew it out on their stupid fucking internet website profile so that they get clicks and followers.
Yeah. And they probably pay for the information too.
And so what, they have these followers, so then they can run an ad, every other day on their fucking stupid ass shit for fucking Factor Foods
Crypto or something.
Or Roman dick pills. Like, get fucking fucked and die. Like, just stop doing it. Do you remember when Twitter exists and there were no leaks? That was fine. Like, where's that?
Yeah.
I mean, these are like a dozen people that do this or something. It's like, just stop doing it. Stop fucking doing it. It's insane.
They're just addicted to like the power.
Yeah.
I think
we
of
need
just
Pat.
like,
we need a Pat to kill them.
There was a time when Liverpool teams were getting leaked.
I remember that.
And then, that was 3 years ago or something like that. And then and then one day all the leaks were just wrong.
Yeah.
And that was intentional by the coaching staff or whatever. Yeah. And then Danny Ward got immediately bumped out of the team because people were thinking that he might have been the leaker or someone.
Yeah.
And it just stopped happening.
Yeah. Danny Ward got transferred to Leicester City and then
and relegated. I don't
Ben
know.
Foster
it's so bad.
Sent to the AFL. Yeah.
And
it's just so bad.
I participated because in the end, I didn't know where I was going to be over the weekend. I ended up being at my parents' house for Game Week 38 on that Sunday. So I was like, well, I'm not going to not look.
Use the
I'm not going
information.
to intentionally put my phone on airplane mode and close my laptop while I'm just sitting there waiting for the games to start.
No, I mean,
and then
quietly
Haaland's not starting. I switched to Kane and cap him, and it's just
quiet protest
sucks.
is not going to get you anywhere. I mean, it's still it's a game within the game now. Honestly, it's just something else you have to track and set an alarm to and be aware of when we're sitting here trying to point fingers like how can the game overcome this? Like, how about these 9 human beings on the planet stop doing this? I mean, that'd be great. That's an easy answer because we played this game for literal, actual, factual so many years, and this was never
years with no leaks. Yeah,
it's just fucking sucks.
Meanwhile, if you wanted to participate in the leagues or anyone on the West Coast, I mean, you have to set your alarm for 2:30 in the morning.
Forget it. It's fucking forget it. I just don't care. It's not even.
I'm just saying. It's not even fair. It's just so bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Johnny D, did we learn anything new about goalkeeper transfers this year? Is it still good to pick a 4-5 and stick with it?
Well, why don't you take this on? That's a bullet point for me. What was your bullet? I can delete that. Johnstone 4.5 auto? Question mark? GK 4.5 auto? Question mark?
You mean you don't want to keep using all your transfers on keepers?
As many transfers as I did use on keepers this year, I will do the same next year. But in seriousness, I still really do feel like spending as little as possible on goalkeeper is the correct way to approach the game from a strategic standpoint. We see what happens with Ederson, which is maybe a little bit of a silliness, but by and large, right, you have these 4 or 5 goalkeepers who all finish within around 10 to 20 points of one another from best to worst, within relative reason.
Yeah.
And that's just fine. You're not gaining points on the field if you're switching back and forth based on fixture runs with keepers. It's just, you're just not doing it. So I do really think that, you need to be, pretty considered when, it's game week 1, when it's wild card 1, when it's wild card 2, that, you're going to have at most 3 keepers in the course of the season if you're trying to do the best OR, right?
Yeah.
That's just how you should approach the game. Yeah. And I think watching this year of, just like Leno, right? Fulham were a diabolical mess.
Worst defense in the league for at least 2/3 of the season.
Yeah. I mean, they fell into 8 clean sheets. I don't know how. He made some saves here and there, and he finished on 142, which is 20 points lower than the best keeper in the game, which is really not a lot over the course of a 38 game weeks. It's really nothing. So if you pick, I think Leno would probably be, whether it's Leno or like Neto and Travers or something, among the worst pick, and they still get all these points. That just says what the goalkeeping position is. It's just fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
So basically, I think you just want to look at, who are the 4 or 5s and just shoot your shot and you stick with it until you wild card, and then you reassess and you kind of rinse repeat there.
I pulled up I always like to do this for the post-mortem just to have like a reference. So I pulled my team, your team. I did the Hive Mind team, which finished 180K. So sort of like in the middle. And then I pulled Cam from Discord, who finished 1,000 OR. So like he's the good one, obviously. And the keeper points. It's just a joke. It just doesn't matter. Yeah. Like it's not the difference between finishing, 20K and 1,000. It's not the difference between finishing 180K and 20K. I finished 160 places, 160K places higher than Hive Mind, and they had 0.02 more keeper points per game week than I did. Like it just doesn't fucking matter. They made one better pick, basically, is what that means over the course of the season. And everything else was just like a wash.
Right.
It just doesn't matter. It just does not matter.
I did on the goalkeeper because I don't want to. I want to spend a lot of time talking about goalkeeper, but I want to do it in a condensed way.
Yeah.
I wanted to revisit the Ward versus situation because.
Yeah, let's just go there. I think a good way to do this pod is like we do a question, and if it takes us elsewhere, like let's just go.
Yeah.
And then we could always go back to the next question or wherever we want to end up,
Yeah. So, it's, this is one where, right, we take ourselves back in time Game week 1 happens, and it was somewhat, I believe, late in the Tinker season.
It was late.
It was late, where it was like, okay, this is what's happening. They have these two guys. And
I'm pretty sure it was actually week the day of before the season, because I remember I'm pretty sure our second to last preseason pod, it was not yet the case, because I remember the preseason pod before the season started and you asking me about Wardverson and me being like, I haven't even tinkered with it yet, because it was just brand new news. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it's something that we got late on, but, entering the season, we had never had an 8 million same team pair goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And it's I just mentioned Leno, where it's, their defense. I mean, Leicester this season defensively were a Premier League historically bad defense. And the two of them combined got 110 points or something. I mean, 120. I mean, that's a marked difference. If you get 120 points at keeper, I mean, 40 points is a lot. If you go, I mean, it's not catastrophic. But
it's a lot, but it's not.
It's really bad.
A point per game week.
It's really bad.
It's bad. It's bad, but
because I think the thing about it that was so difficult was, I mean, they had all of these they had the beginning run where I remember, I had him. He got 1-1-1-1. It's like I'm sitting here. This team finished, upper mid-table last year. Mostly the same personnel-ish. I mean, they didn't add, but for them to go from what they were doing last year to whatever it was that they did this year, and now they're in the flamp. I was just trying to look back and think, did we miss something?
Yeah.
Was there a turning point where it was no one had them at the end of the season except for probably Kev, who's an actual fucking sadist. He was the only person asking about that towards the end of the season. But I mean, they had that run where all of a sudden he rattled off from game week 9 after everyone got rid. 8-1, 6-9, 8-3, 6-11. And he then at that point in game week 16, after the 11-pointer, he was top 5 in goalkeeping points, where it was holy shit, we all fucked up. We just didn't wait long enough. Yeah. This is the cheat code that we thought it would be. And this was the obvious thing that we thought it was. And, we just didn't have the patience. And then from that point on, ridiculous mess. I mean, a complete mess. Ward sucks ass. He gets dropped.
I think they had one clean
since the World Cup.
World Cup, and it was a draw at Newcastle, where, by the way, they got fucking shelled.
Destroyed. Yeah.
And they just luckily kept it clean in that game. Yeah.
So, I mean, going through all this sort of history of the two players, is there something to learn from this? Because I still feel like if I had the information again, I would have started with them again. Next year, let's say next year, for example, who would be a Leicester similar team going into next year? I mean, maybe it's Fulham. Let's just say it's Fulham.
Sure.
If Leno and the backup are both 4 million, that's not even close to being close. That's who I start with.
It's in my team. Yeah. I think two things. I think both of you and I were way higher on Leicester than everyone else. I mean, I don't really remember where everyone else is because I just mainly only talk to you. But we were both they're just a mid-table team, right? They had one weird fucked up year, but they should be back to normal. I think they had single 5 cleans or something insanely bad in 21, 22, and we're they'll be fine. They had all these injuries, Ndidi's back, whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah, they had 7 cleans in 21, 22. So that maybe should have been a red flag, is that our evaluation is significantly higher than everyone else's for some reason that we can't pinpoint. But I think the other thing that went against Wardverson was that we knew we had a free wild card for the World Cup, and therefore we knew that the first part of the season was cut in half, or even, some people wildcarded. I wildcarded game week 4, I think. And so right away off the bat, we know that okay, this might be the cheat code value thing, whatever. But even if it is, like, I'm still wildcarding in like game week 5, and it won't really affect my
the
team
difference to
much.
that though is, but every 0.5 matters when you're game week 1 tinkering. So that is a thing.
Yeah, no, it is. But like what I'm saying is, it was a different season in the sense that, and I don't think I was alone, where like I started with Ederson, but in no normal season in my life have I ever started with a 5-5 keeper. Or even considered it, really. It's just like a joke. 4-5 and a 4-0 every season, and except this one where I was just like, well, I just want the quote-unquote guaranteed points, which, joke's on me. Ederson, fucking worst player in the entire league. But the point is, it wasn't really a great year. And, he still got 3 cleans in the first 5 game weeks, so, like, it worked. But I just think that, like, this year it really worked against people, and the case in point, in a weird way, is that eventually it did come good, and absolutely no one got those points.
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone had wildcarded already, for the most part.
Yeah.
But I mean, to answer your question, Leno gets hurt, and it's 4-0-4-0 Fulham next year. I mean, straight in. They're just, that's my keepers. Like, I'm not even really thinking about it, I don't think.
Yeah, and I was looking at Johnstone a little bit. I mean, it maybe he's just a poor man's Raya, and I get that Raya is unlikely to return to Brenham, but I mean, it's just the kind of player that gets bonus points because the defenders are all terrible, just hoofing the ball, and they suck, and make some saves. Like it's on that team that's going to keep somewhere in the +- clean sheets, like to 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
They just finish right around 140 to 160 points if they save a pen or two, kind of a thing. Yeah. It's just a safe floor. The only thing
it sort of depends on the manager, I guess.
Well, Guaita is signed up, but I mean, the only thing with Johnson specifically is that our set piece defending is insane, and I think that is something that also I wanted to mention about just watching goalkeepers and the team's set piece defending. I feel like that is something to actually look at, how good the team is at defending set pieces, because it doesn't really I mean, unless if you're Meslier, who's just flapping at everything and like the reason why they're bad at set pieces, right? I mean, which doesn't take very many games to watch to realize like this is an issue. There are other teams that just mark poorly. I mean, Liverpool for historical sense. I mean, they've let up soft goals on set pieces over the years, and we've, agonized over that. But teams that let in goals and set pieces are things that, you really don't want the goalkeeper from that team. I mean, because if you're letting in those cheapies, like from the guys on, if it is something like Palace, that really lowers the floor,
clean sheet potential.
And it lowers the ceiling rather. It lowers the ceiling a lot.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. Watching that just caught me thinking a little bit more about it.
Yeah, no, I think that is interesting. And it does seem like the type of thing that's correctable. And then you see teams that are just consistently bad. And it's like, gee, and Leicester's a great example, right? Like Broad just could never get them
every
to
game.
Defend.
They're giving up some ridiculous huge
chances all the time. But the only keeper thing that I had written down was just like, the dream combo is the team concedes a lot of shots against, and they're below average shot quality. That would be the dream, right? And the 3 teams that were top half in both of those stats were Brentford, Raya finishes number 1 in the entire game, Spurs, and Bournemouth. And the thing with Spurs and Bournemouth is that Lloris was fucking awful all year. Forster is even worse. So like they were both way under their push shot XG. They were conceding soft chances, etc. Bournemouth, Travers is maybe the worst keeper in the fucking universe.
Except for that last game, he was someone
Except for that last game, he was popping off. But and so if you ignore Travers, who had a point less than Neto per start, then like Neto is fine. Like Neto was on a 130-point pace on Bournemouth, who statistically were the worst defense in the league. And it's just because of that combo of shots, saves, aka bonus. And Raya's the best of all of them because Brentford are actually pretty good, and he does the passing stuff, and that's why he's so good. But that's what you're looking for, I think.
Yeah. I could see Pickford too being a popular game week 1.
Dyche has
he's going to be 4
history.
or 5.
Yeah,
we have to see. We have to see. I mean, what they do in the window, but we also have to see what they do with the pricing, because they did suppress the goalkeeping pricing this year. There were no 6 million goalkeepers. I mean, if they keep it that way, we might only have about 6 or so 4.5 goalkeepers to choose from. I could see Pickford being a reasonable option next year.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, definitely has the first part of allowing a ton of shots. And Dyche, I feel like every year that Dyche has been in the league, the keeper's been good.
Yeah, usually. I mean, at
Pretty
the same
much,
time,
right?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, it did really hover around, a save point. I mean, he had maybe just one crazy game. I'm seeing the Man United game, he had 9 saves, but everything else, the most he had was 4. And that's not, I mean, amazing. I mean, you look at Raya and he's 6, 7, 11, 4, 5. I don't know.
When
I mean,
did Dyche come in? I can't even remember.
For a couple months. Yeah.
Came in January 30th. It always drives me crazy every single time that it doesn't show the fucking dates on the FPL page.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely does me in. But yeah.
All right.
All right. We're thinking about.
Yeah, we're thinking. We're always FMLFPL LLC. We're always thinking about goalkeepers. At least I am.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely are.
Yeah.
Last macro question I put down was guest. He said, "Is rogue captaincy dead since Haaland is only 22 and he's probably at City for the long haul?"
Oh, that's a depressing question.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so, honestly. I think, if anything, what we can take away from Haaland this year is he did flat track it pretty hard. So
good matches, yeah.
Yeah, and he piled it on. So I think we can, obviously that's not 100% hit rate. He had to put a 14 up against Arsenal at home. I know Arsenal, but broadly speaking, his double-digit hauls were all against, really bad teams. And he had the 23 against Man United when they were in a really bad moment. I think you can maybe just, going into next season, be a little bit braver with picking your spots. I think is safe to go away from, not safe, but you can do it. It's definitely, you're still going to play with fire because he's a monster. But I think you can do that next year. I think we did learn a little bit there for me. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm just looking at, I think it's an interesting, sort of case study when you look back at his season, where the first half of the season, you were genuinely an idiot if you didn't captain him every week. Really, there was no reason to not cap him unless there was a leak that he wasn't playing. And, in game week 14, I don't remember what happened. And so you just go there. But if you look at the second half of the season, I mean, there's a lot of 6 or under game weeks. A ton, actually. More often that than, double digit. So he quietly, came back down to earth. I mean, he had the explosions against Southampton, Leicester, and then Arsenal, which again, Southampton and Leicester, 2 of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the league. So, we were always going to captain him in those game weeks kind of thing anyway. But it really, I mean, you probably in hindsight would have been better off capping Mo or Kane for most of the game weeks in the second half of the season than Haaland. And no one did it because of the fear factor and because of what he did in the first half of the season. But I think that is probably actually true.
Yeah, I mean, it also does, City always do this to us in this game. I mean, it coincides with they've already played, 35 games by the time it's game week 20. Basically, yeah. Something like, one of those where he has all of these weapons at his disposal and he can change and tweak the way he plays so that it's not so much stress on certain individuals. Haaland, misses some games periodically, gets subbed early periodically, is just sometimes more of even like a decoy and they do the thing where they go on cruise control, they go up early. They don't even give a shit. They're like, we're going to conserve this game week because we are playing this midweek and we're just going to win 1-0 and we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of that going on in the second half with him and with City, even though he does still spike double-digit hauls, often. But, I mean, the question is, is it something that we think about or not? I still think we think about, I mean, look, dude, Kane finished 9 points behind him. I want to segue into talking about Kane a little bit,
We're
but
definitely going to talk about Kane. Yeah.
But it's not like Haaland finished on 400 points and the next person was like on 200 or something.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
I mean,
he
he's
didn't
not like
break the record or anything like that.
Yeah, he's not
for
like doubling
FPL.
the field in points or something like that. So, you know, I think you could still look at, you know, other top 4 games as weeks that you can go differential, and, you know, away games or ones that are sandwiched between big Champions League game, or looking at it towards the second half of the year when they have group it. Like those are all, I think, still on the table for next year.
Yeah, I think so. And leaks, aforementioned leaks, probably will not go away, right? So those are always going to be opportunities where I am in favor. I don't give a shit if he's on the bench and might sub on. Like, I'm always going to be in favor of capping anyone else. So, you know, that's also a thing. But yeah, I mean, Kane, dude.
Kane. I mean, my main question to you
this has never
is,
happened. This has never happened.
What is this?
This being someone's score. How many points did he score? 263 points. And feel like he was in very few teams all season. He was never bandwagon. He finished 11.5 million his price, which is the same price that he was game week 1, which means he never fucking like went crazy with price rises and all that stuff. And 263 points. His best ever season.
Yeah. I mean, my main question to you is, I mean, is there something to learn from this? Because I still feel like I'm processing it, honestly.
Yeah.
Did you learn something from this? Because obviously we all made a mistake here. He should have been in our team just like Haaland was all year.
Yep, 100%.
So
we
how
should
did
have
this
sacrificed
happen?
some other position, some premium defender that we all had, or whatever the fuck it was. I don't really remember our early season teams, and had both. Yeah, for sure.
So where are we at here?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I think for me, one of many things, I should say, that like prevented me from actually getting him, from actually like breaking my team and making sure that he's in my team, were Haaland required, and Mo was better than him in the second half of the season. There wasn't really a point in the post World Cup where I would have rather had Kane to Mo. That never happened. And so it became a game of like, do I go threemium? Do I take a -8? And I never felt like the time was there to actually take a -8. The other thing was just the overperformance. And I know Kane's a great finisher, but he was 33% over his non-penalty XG this season. And the 5 years prior to this season, which is as far back as FBref goes, he was 13% over his non-penalty XG, right? Like, he went from I'm a very good finisher to I'm an unsustainable best finisher in the world kind of level.
And that's probably something like 40 points in the game.
Yeah, and he was the best in all of Europe. And it's just that thing never. We always say, right? It never lasts. It never lasts. It's not going to continue. It's not going to continue. But you say this every season, multiple times. It's a short season. It's a small sample size season. He was just hot for all 38 game weeks somehow. And then the other thing I think that is something to learn from, because the other two are kind of not so far, is that we nonstop held the team being bad against him. But in the FPL game, it actually worked in his favor. He had the most bonus points in the league.
Yeah.
Because Spurs suck.
Yeah.
They kept 6 cleans.
Yeah,
and
I think
and none of the other attackers ever scored any goals.
Did anything. Yeah.
So like
every
if
time
he
got
scored
a goal, it was 6 points at least.
Yeah, just boom. They could lose 4-1. He gets a pen in like the 90th minute and gets 2 bones. And we're all like, what the fuck? How is this possible?
Yeah.
And it just every time.
Yeah, it's possible because they're playing 8 defenders. And yeah, I think that is something that we were blind to all year, and we shouldn't have been. You know, I mean, we should have been able to stop ourselves during the season and realize, like, no, this is actually an advantage because he plays 90 every game. His goals are worth more points, and this is good, that they're bad.
Right.
They don't need to score. They don't need to look like they're going to score 4 for him to get FPL points. I mean, they can look like their ceiling is 2 goals in a game, and he's going to get 13 points if that happens.
Exactly. Like, just for perspective for people who are listening and hear 48 bonus points over a season. Like, Mo's season where he had 303 points, 40 more points than Kane. In 32 goals, 12 assists, he got 26 bonus points that season. Haaland literally broke the goal scoring record this season, and he had 40 bonus points this season.
Yeah.
He breaks the record, golden boot, more assists also, I think, and 8 less bonus points.
Yeah, 9
So that was a weird fucking
same
thing.
Assists.
Yeah. Or same assists, yeah. But it's just... So I don't really know. I mean, I don't know what to learn from this other than sometimes guys stay hot all season, right? Like, there's Miggy Almiron, right? He was fucking hot. We don't believe. A lot of people got a lot of points from him. Then he falls off a cliff and is terrible. Yep. Then there's the Mahrez season where he's literally identical to what Miggy was doing this season. And he just stayed hot.
Yeah.
And he just is great. And there's no real way of knowing that. I mean, we know that Kane is great, but he's never been this good. So we don't know he's going to just finish at this rate all season. There's no way of knowing. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a mistake, man. It was definitely a mistake.
The headers are the thing that I go back to in my,
set piece. There's a lot of set piece goals.
The back post unmarked header. Like, I feel like I have watched until this year so many years of Kane standing on the keeper in set pieces and doing for the whole season and just not even coming close to getting his head on anything. Yeah. And it's like this year he's just got like 5 goals that way. I'm just like, what the fuck? According to Understat,
he had 7 goals directly from corners. 7?
7?
Yeah. He had 2 the season before, 1 the season before that, 0 the season before that, 2 the season before that, 3 the season before that, 2 the season before. So, I mean, you're right. But they did get this new set piece coach and blah, blah, blah. Or did he just happen to finish his one fucking header? And, and it's 6 a dozen, half dozen the other. There's no answer.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that sort of sums up why we didn't get him. But it doesn't mean it's right. And I don't really know what the process would have been otherwise. Like in what world would we have gotten him is what I'm like trying to get at.
Well, I think it would have had to have been the threemium, Salah, getting Mo, Haaland, and Kane. I mean, I don't even know what that looks like. Like, you have to go really bare bones on defense and, have a lot of cheap guys around them. The thing with that is, like, you're putting so much stress on those players because the rest of your team is getting so many less points.
Yeah, so, and it's...
I don't know how many times you want to make that bet, Yeah,
and like, hindsight, it's like, well, obviously, someone who finishes with 260 points should have been in my team more than 6 times. I had him for 6 total game weeks. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, Trips was in my team 30 times. Kev was in my team 20 times. Martinelli, Rashford, Matoma, Trent. Like, who should I get rid of? Because most of those guys were really fucking good for me all season. And that's, again, back to the thing where there never came a point in my team where I was like, this 8 million guy and this 6 million guy are both fucking disasters. I'm just going to turn them into Kane.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's probably why his ownership never got above like 30% or something, Yeah. Because most people were in that same boat.
Yeah.
Just a tough one, man. Just a fucking tough one.
Rolling into game week 1 next year. I mean, now, what are your thoughts here? Because he's going to be similarly or really closely priced to Haaland.
Yeah, he'll probably be 12 or 12.5 Kane, right?
Yes, I mean, are we just doing the same thing again and just being like he's going to come back down to what we know he was, and he's not going to hit that level? And
I mean, that's
basically. I mean,
I think that is my
run it back.
Yeah, that is my baseline where, and I said, to be fair, I said the exact same thing about Son going into this season.
Right.
I said that I don't like getting guys off the best season of their career.
Right.
And the huge price hike. And I didn't expect this level of drop off with Son, but ultimately it was right. He had 100 less points.
Yeah.
Kane also, low key, part of this, he stayed fit for 38 games. Like, when does that happen?
We also don't know if he's even going to fucking be there next year. So that this could be
right. Yeah, so what do we do if he's on Man United and he's 12-5? And they're just so much better. And so maybe it's worse for Bones, but how many more chances does he get?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge if we have to.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Yeah. That is tough. But tough, difficult one. I'd be curious to know teams who held Kane for, more than, I don't know, let's say 15 game weeks. Like, what did those teams look like?
They had to have not had Mo is the only thing I could come up with.
Yeah, a lot less game weeks than Mo, I guess.
Yeah. Because Mo was really, really bad in the first half of the season.
Right.
I mean,
and you had horrendous. Mo 31 game weeks. I had Mo 28 game weeks.
Yeah.
And Cam, who I mentioned, finished top 1,000, only had Mo 20 game weeks and had Kane for 14. So I think that is exactly what happened.
Yeah,
like he didn't jump on Mo until Liverpool started looking better.
Right.
And then, and then he went Kane to Mo or something like that, I assume. But I mean, Mo still averaged in my team 6.9 points per game week. It doesn't get better than that, like in your team, Mo averaged 6.6 points per game week.
Yeah.
Like both of those are 250 point seasons if you average it out. So hard one, man. Hard one.
Yeah. Okay. What else? What's next?
I guess our season. These are just a few questions. Jeff asking for basically our favorite moment of the season. He said, I don't know why, but Mitro Penn make actually miss off of his standing leg against super highly on Newcastle defense is the most memorable moment of the season for me. Oh, and the March goal that wasn't scored in FPL as a goal. Do you have one? Do you have a moment that just stands out?
No, not really.
I can't remember one.
Yeah.
Next question. Sorry, Jeff. Friend of the bot, Anna, she said, as someone who thought Haaland would be Sancho / Timo 2.0, I need to know what you think is the winning formula to know which new transfers are good to buy into the hype of and which ones are good to stay away. Simple question. Absolute. Yeah, I'm kidding.
That takes a lot to.
Clubs would pay you billions and billions of pounds a year if you could figure out the answer to that. My actual answer is, so did I. But I just got Haaland because he was 70% owned in game week 1. So I didn't want to wager my season that everyone else is wrong and I'm right. And this player who we know is world class is going to be a flop or start slow. Yeah, and I was wrong. And so I just, by the time it was game week 3, I think everyone in the world knew, holy fucking shit, this is insane. He's, didn't he have 2 hat tricks in the first few games or something? Yeah,
I mean, and especially I was really on Kevin over Haaland until all of the numbers were coming out, and we're just like, what are we doing? I mean, not to say Kevin starts off with fucking 25 points in 3 games too. It's not like he's coming out of the gates doing jack shit, right? But Haaland's on another planet, I think.
And Kane too, right? I mean, a lot of people were Kane over Haaland game week 1. He blanked against Southampton, but then he goes 8, 6, 10, 5, 9, 10, right? Like, if someone's actually stuck with that, you can't really fault them. But Haaland just blew everyone away to levels we couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, and that was, I remember that back in the beginning, like that was a frustration when it's, people chose Kane over Haaland, game week 1, fine. You're going to say, okay, known quantity, somewhat decent fixtures opening, some good homes, whatever, fine. But it became abundantly clear that that was an egregious mistake, and it wasn't punished because Kane was getting these goals that were like off his fucking penis on a back post corner.
Classic.
9 points, where you're watching the whole game thinking like, this is a bad FPL pick, bad Halls, whatever.
Yeah.
That aside, we're digressing from the question. I think you need to look at the new player incomings as like different questions based on the context, right? I mean, when we're talking about Haaland and Kane or something, or Haaland and whatever, like Sancho is going to be some fringe differential no matter what. Haaland's in over half the teams. You have to look at it from is this going, like you said, right? Do I want to bet my entire season right now on like me being right, even if this is what I actually think, if I had, versus not? Like, when that's the question, usually the answer, that's not a risk or a bet you want to place. But when it comes to someone like Sancho coming, or like say like Dan Juma comes back into the league and he's a fucking, I don't know, goes to NFO or something.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck what you do with your 6 million mid or something? I mean, those are the players that if you have a vibe or a feeling on, you can take a flyer. You could punch your ticket on a new player in the league and see. It doesn't take long. You watch him for a few games, and you're like, there's a player here, like Anthony, right? He came in, he's fucking $500 million in IRL, Glazer, fan money, loans against the club money. But when you watch him play, he has 1 foot and he shoots from outside the box, corner, fuckland, and he's not really a good pick, mostly. Yeah.
So, I mean, the other thing also, just trying to remember back to like preseason and that stuff, the Community Shield was like kind of a funny thing that happened because it kind of separated like, do you believe in XG or are you wrong? And
Haaland, what did you just say? Do you believe in XG or are you wrong?
Yeah, because obviously every smartest person at club level
an XG fetishist. It's you just love like XG so much.
But it's just the exact same as baseball. It's like, do you believe in on base percentage or do you just still believe average is the key, right? It's just, you're just behind if that's the case. And this is the same. There'll be something better after, and then XG will be old. But what I'm trying to say is that Liverpool won the game 3-1. Haaland missed, I think, like 2 sitters.
Huge chances.
And an offsides goal or something. And this was back when we thought Liverpool were still contender for the title. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? So that was also like a holy fuck moment. Like, a lot of people were like, okay, I'm going off Haaland. Like, people were selling Haaland after that performance. And me and you on the pod were like, that couldn't have been a better debut. Like, you're just telling me he's going to get multiple huge chances from the most creative, best attack in the league every game. Like, holy shit, this guy's even better than I thought it would be. So that was also a big one.
Yeah. Yep.
Haaland. What's he going to be priced next year? 14 or something?
He should be about 14, yeah. He won't be. He'll probably be 13.
Really?
Yeah, they want you to be able to afford all the superstars in the league in your team, because
it's a big draw to like play the game.
Yeah, that's how they sell Castrol, official engine oil partner of FPL, and Hugh Blott, official timekeeper of the FPL game or whatever. You got to. So I would probably go for like 13.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. And now we're on to next season / your list / lifestyle questions.
Okay.
So why don't you hit us with your list?
Okay.
It's something.
I mean, it's something. It's more than something. I mean, there's a lot of action going on here. Some up, some down, some middle of the road. But first one is Ollie.
Yeah.
My note. I'm gonna just read the actual notes that I wrote.
It should be pure. It should be uncut.
And we can go from there. But I put Watkins anything 9.5 or under auto. I believe him to be that type of player based on watching him under Emery Ball for half a season. That, you put that, there's a 20, if he stays on pens and he maybe isn't so bad at them, there's a 20 goals in him next year to me. And I do believe he will be underpriced. And I know he went on a hot finishing, streak for that, month and a half where he was, banging in one a game. But, there are just all these anecdotal things as well as just watching them play where, we've been watching him for the last couple of years with, 4 different managers, and they've kind of stumbled, and he was still very good, in the last 2 years. I mean, 168, 131, not incredible, but if you're paying a mid-price forward price, even he out-earned, he way out-earned the first season. Last year, maybe a little dip at 7.5 and 131, whatever, but he's like these things coming out of him, like you watch him play, work rate, movement, he's got all this stuff, and Emery comes in, he's just like, stop trying to press everywhere, just stay here.
Just
he's
get
like,
near the goal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe the reason, or a big reason why he was missing all of his chances were he was fucking on fumes, every game because he's playing 2 positions at once, So I want this game week 1 where I'm like, I bought and I am buying, what he did under Emery and how he looked and how the team progressed. I'm sure that they'll have a reasonable summer where they improve the spine in some elements and capacities, and that they will have some better creativity behind him that, I just like him as a buy.
Yeah.
Even in that, I expect something in the 8-5 region. And I just like that. I feel like he's going to be a forgotten man too, where, he's going to get easily squeezed out. Maybe they have a tough fixture in the first few game weeks, and, it's not
There's
just like
some other guy who's 8, and we just are like, that 0.5.
That's so much better. Yeah, I want that. And I feel like this, like, he reminds me kind of like Tony from last year when we started the season, where it's like, what are good reasons to not own Tony? It's like, really couldn't come up with any, but nobody owned him. He was in like 10% or under teams. And
he finishes on 182 and missed the last 3 game weeks.
Yeah. That's kind of how I'm seeing Watkins, now. But bust my myth here. How are you seeing this?
I'm not going to bust your myth because I think I mostly agree. We've always said this, but like, I think you can tell any story that you want to tell with stats, right? Whatever favors your argument, I think, is what people tend to say. So I'm going to try and be objective and give both sides. The objective fact is that he got a lot better, right? His non-penalty XG per 90, best of his career.
Still under.
Yes, he's still under XG aggregate on the season. So overall, he didn't really overperform his XG. He was just hot in one period and normal in the other periods. So even though in that 10-game week period, he finished better than Messi, overall, I don't think we need to worry about it because it would be way more alarming if overall on the season he finished at that level. Because then it would be very easy to be like, well,
then he's going to be 10 million next year.
Right.
And then he scored 25 goals this year. And
right. And it's just like, this is a joke. This isn't happening. Right. So that is good. And then when you dig into the numbers a little bit, it's just as simple as going pre-World Cup, post-World Cup. Pre-World Cup. Pre-World Cup, he's 0.3. Yeah. 0.3 non-penalty XG per 90. 1.9 shots per 90. Like 1.9 is fucking bad.
Well, it's pre-Emery and post-Emery, not the World Cup, really, right?
Yeah, but that is basically when Emery came in. I think he came in like game week 15 or something. So I'm just splitting it up that way. Post-World Cup, 0.5 non-penalty XG per 90. So up 0.2, which is insane. And 2.6 shots per 90. So almost a full shot more also per game.
Yeah.
Those are things that are just reliable. Like that is a just reliable, steady increase in the exact things that you want to. He's turned 27 this year, which is peak age. And, the team's playing well. He looks good. Emery's a good manager. Like every reason to believe in him is there. Yeah. So I think I think you're right. And I think he will be underpriced. He scored like basically the same that he did when he went from 6.5 to 7.5 from the 2020 season to the 21 season.
Yeah. 8.5, like I'm just.
Or no, he went from 6.0 to 7.5 between those two, which is a really huge increase. Yeah. Then he scored 131 points and he still started at 7.5 this year, which is kind of weird. Right.
Yeah, I think they were still just buying like the come on Villa, basically, that they had, improved, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
blah,
I guess
whatever.
they ended well, right? Last year.
Yeah.
I don't really remember their season last year. Yeah, I mean, there's just no way that he's going to be like over 8.5. There's no way they could do that, right?
Yeah. No, I think 8.5 is the price.
I think that's
here.
his ceiling. Could be 8.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, possibly. I mean, and I'm just happy to pay that. I'm just really happy to put that in, lock it in, and see where it goes with him.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Next.
Next, Eze. Is Eze a glue pick? 6.5. Is that too much? Olise, can he add a few more goals? 150 point player there? Dash pick? 6.5? Palace-centered bullet point here.
You had other glue guy questions too, right? On other players. We should let's just do all the glue. Let's just sniff all the glue that we can in one bite.
Okay. So the other, in the midfield element, the only other one I put down was Gibbs White at NFO. MGW glue. Where does he go from here?
Right.
I think all three of these players are somewhat in a related bucket of projectability for next season. You have uncertainty with the teams and, prominent roles for all three players in their teams, regardless of what they do over the summer business wise. But, where do they actually go from here? Go ahead. What do you think? Looking at these three, how are you seeing it?
Gut reaction is that, I haven't really studied these guys as much as I did for the Ollie part, but my gut reaction is Eze is separate from the other two. The other two are glue guys because they're not really goal scorers and they're mostly assist and tick guys who should be cheap. Whereas Eze, the ceiling on this guy, it just seems to be very fucking high. He is just an actual donger. Debut season last year, he fucking barely played, but 600 minutes. Or no, sorry, it wasn't his debut. Debut season 2020, plays 2,500 minutes, 4 goals, 6 assists.
He was injured last year.
Comes in this year, 10 goals in 2,600 minutes. He was bombed out from Vieira, comes back in, scores 10 goals. Seems to be a very good finisher based on what we know. So I feel like he's in a different bracket because it's man, I don't actually know what the ceiling is here, especially if Wilf walks and he's just the main man.
On pens.
Can he score 15 on pens? Yeah, why not? Right? 3,000 minutes. You're telling me he can't go from 10 to 15? That seems insane.
Yeah, it's just, I feel with Eze is as I was thinking more about it, I started to get less excited about him, honestly, from an FPL's perspective, because he is a midfielder, he's a very midfielder, in the light of a Gundogan type player to me, where it's we see him bang these insane free kicks and it, it hits on our, dopamine levels because it happens twice a year.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he takes shots from bad places. He has really pinpoint, throw the ball through the keyhole, Brett Favre accuracy on his shots, right? But the volume isn't really there. The team's a little bit, who knows what's going to be going on there. And he's relying on these, otherworldly type things. At the same time, his ability to find the open spaces in the box as that late runner, as we see time and time again when we're a transition, fast break type of team, is just uncanny. And he is deadly. There's no mistake about it. You give him these shots, pitting him against the rest of the world, he passes in his goals. He knows exactly where to put them and he does it. So him finishing over XG is something that I expect to routinely happen year on year from this point forward.
Yeah.
I don't know how much or how high he can go, though, just based on his role, because he was doing a lot of aiding. I mean, maybe if he is 10, because he can't play on the wing. You know, he's not a forward player. He needs to be central. He needs to be picking up the ball in our own half. He needs to be behind a striker. So, you know, how many real goal scoring opportunities are there per game? You know, it's just not many. So I'm a little bit tepid on him, honestly.
I pulled this up to just see where his actual goals came from.
Yeah, that all tracks. Penalty
This is pretty interesting, though, because I thought there would be more in the outside the box banger region.
No, he never shoots from there. No, he never shoots from there, because he gets the ball in the elbow and he'll
basically has 3 bangers, but everything else are just like big chances.
Because those are the fast break ones. Yeah, those are the fast break ones when he finds the gap when we are countering, you know, but he sometimes he'll pick the ball up wide and keep dribbling in, find the spot. Those are those outside the box ones just at the edge. Right. But yeah, he shoots centrally because he's smart, and then he can aim for either side of the goalkeeper based on where the defenders are, kind of thing. But no, he doesn't shoot from, like, he's not Tom Party. I mean, he's not some fucking moron, you know?
Yeah, no, and see that's why I feel like there's something to actually build on, because if all of his goals were just that, you know, it's just JWP free kicks or something, I'd be like, no, but like
free hicks.
But like, he's getting the chances, like he's getting real big chances, real big fish, and he's fucking donging them. So I don't know. I just
don't know how sustainable that is. Like, that's my concern.
Yeah, maybe not
how sustainable that is, because I think Gibbs White is the most attractive and interesting to me of these 3 names.
Is it because of the pens, or?
Well, I mean, Eze is going to be on pens too. I don't think. I mean, the pens help, but I think he's really. I mean, this was his first year in the Prem.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this was his first year, and with Eze. Well, it doesn't matter to compare the two, but with him, he actually grew into, like, when I was watching NFO in the first half of the year, and first of all, I don't know how Cooper never dropped him. He just kept playing him. I thought he was one of the worst players on the pitch for many NFL games that I watched in the first half of the season. I mean, I couldn't believe how bad and invisible and abject he was. I mean, just derelict in duty repeatedly. Yeah. Yeah. He just kept picking him. I was watching a different game. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, you know, mid-season, second half of the season, it's like, boom, he's actually their best player by a lot. And I think going back to the Kane thing, I mean, I know this is cliche or whatever, but this talisman-y type thing with, like, Jack on Villa.
That's real. I mean, Matto, like those kind of guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Eze is not that for Palace. Like, we have other guys, like with Wilf, like other things happen. But
I don't know, though. If Wilf goes, isn't he?
Well, if Wilf goes, it's a different conversation. We have to see how we set up and who comes. But like with Gibbs White, it's just like they're not scoring 2 goals and he's not involved in one of them. It's really not possible. Yeah. They would have to be, you know, 2 broken corner kicks or something, because he's on all the things. He's not the pass before the pass. He's either shooting or he's the assist. Yeah. And, you know, he just looked like he was flourishing and blooming and blossoming and getting more comfortable and more used to just the pace and the speed of the game and what he had to do. I mean, that back heel assist he had towards the end of the season was like, that's something special, you know? And yes, I mean, right, Eze could do that, but I don't know. I feel like there's a bit more here with Gibbs White, where he had 5 and 12, dude. He had 12 assists, which is insane, an insane overperformance. But I mean, could he do 8 and 12? You know, like 9 and 10 with maybe some more bonus points sprinkled in here and hit like 170.
The goals. I think he could do that. The goals is where I don't really know, because he didn't really show that, right? Like, I mean, 2 of his 5 goals were pens. So we're talking about 3 goals in 3,000 minutes. Right. I mean, and he barely ever shoots, you know, compared to someone like Eze who shoots twice as often. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, to answer like your actual first part of the question, like 150 point player here, question mark, for Elise and MGW, I'm just like, yeah, right? I mean, the set pieces for both of them, they just tick, right? They just get assists. They're both double-digit assist guys.
Play 3,000 minutes.
3,000 minutes, first name in the team sheet, MGW on pen. So depending on the price of all these guys. I mean, I think there's a potential world, assuming there's no one as good as Pereira who's 4-5 next season, because that was a rare treat for us. I mean, I'm more looking at these guys as like, I want them to be first on my bench every week. I want all 10 of my auto subs through the season to be this guy, because they can get
to afford that though.
They might be like 5-5, right? Or 5.
Yeah, but that's
5,
not
5.
Our fifth mid first bench. We're never doing that.
Rare, but I think it might be worth it. You know, I mean,
well, Elise too. I mean,
I
mean, he had 11 assists, and I feel like he could have a season where he has 16 assists or something.
Yeah, and
I mean, his delivery
he just needs
ridiculous.
to show.
He never shoots.
I just need him to fucking shoot.
He's
man.
so wide. I mean, like he's so wide.
0.09 on penalty per 90.
Yeah, he just plays so wide.
A tenth of an XG per game. It's like, just fucking add that to your game, and you're like a star. You're actually just like a fucking god, you know? I mean, with coaching, long story short, I agree with you that these are like really, really fucking interesting guys.
Interesting guys. I think Elise, with coaching and assist, like, he is more than just whipping balls in from the elbow.
I agree.
Yeah, and I feel like there can be some getting more out of him. Yeah. So he's interesting too. I mean, because he's going to be the cheapest of these three for sure.
It's like they mentioned they use this analogy on one of the recent double pivots. I don't remember exactly what it was for, but it's useful. But there's just still so much unknown, I think, in soccer. And one of the things is this, where it's like in basketball, when someone's a good free throw shooter, sometimes they're still bad in quote unquote open play. We don't call it that in basketball, but you know what I mean? Like they can't hit like 20 footers, but they're then fucking 85% free throw shooter. And we're like, how does this work? Or vice versa, right? They're a good 3-point shooter, not good at free throws. And we're like, this doesn't make sense. You're good at shooting. You should be good. So it's like, I don't know. I suspect that Elise's skills could turn into some shots and goals, but I don't actually know if the two things translate.
Yeah.
But like, if they do translate, like we're talking about like Eriksson, right? Like we're talking about like Spurs like Eriksson, like 8 and 14, like crazy seasons like that, where he just peppers in some goals. He's a late arrival, some outside of the box goals, some free kick goals, while getting a crazy amount of assists. But don't know if it's there.
Yeah, see, I think Eze is more of that player to me that could do an 8 and 14 because...
Well, that's why I go back to Eze, because I'd rather have the goals first, assists second. I'd rather have someone that shoots 3 times a game, bangers, looks to be a plus finisher, gets in the middle of the box, gets big chances first, and be like, okay, if his baseline is 10 goals, like he could be a really, really, really fucking good FPL pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna probably be 6'5" next year. So.
Yeah, he didn't help his price by going on a fucking stormer at the end of the season.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting, but yeah. So those are those guys. Next one,
Solanke is kind of in the glue category too, right?
Yeah, we could talk about it. I have where is it? What to make of Solanke's season? Hold up, man. No pens. Add 3. Still undervalued next year.
No pens.
No pens. Don't need any. Gaza, O'Neal, pens.
Unbelievable. No pens.
Not for us.
Also, unbelievably ends the season 0.4 cheaper than his starting price, while being 6 million and getting 130 points.
Yeah, I mean, so he's 1 and 2. Somewhat, he missed
16
a handful of
returns
games.
and 32 starts.
Yeah, missed a handful of games. He had some games where he looked like he was world class, and then he had many games where he was invisible, doing hold up stuff for the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with. I love the player. We love the player. That's not in question.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time with, like, in this day and age in the FPL landscape where there are just so many good players, good picks across the board. I mean, is he a pick? I mean, what has to happen for him to be a pick? That's what I'm a little confused on.
I think he is a pick. I do think he's a pick. I genuinely do. The only reason that both of us didn't start with him is because it was home Villa, at City, home Arsenal, at Liverpool. It was just like, they're probably the worst team in the league, and they have the worst imaginable fixtures.
And then we bought him immediately.
Yeah. And then we did. Like, I had him, I think.
Yeah, I think we both had him for all that run.
And he was fucking great. Right? He goes 2, 12, 2, 2, 8, 12, 2, 1, 2, 6, 5 into the World Cup. Like, that is fucking great for 6 million forward. That is just really, really steady and good.
I think the hold up nature of his play is something that, that's why I mentioned, I put that in my note that I wanted to talk more about, because, he
gets more assists than goals.
He stitches the play together, and he holds up for the wingers or for the on runners, whether that whoever's fit for them in a given week. I mean, they're fucking 50 guys, Trav, whether it's Travernier or whoever the fuck else, right? Otara, but I don't know. I like that really concerns me because, he's just not in position to receive the ball for these big chances. Like, he's usually the hockey assist. Like, that's what I kept watching, is like, this is who he is and this is what he's doing. He's their best player, but he's not an FPL pick. Like, that's what I kept thinking when I watched them, And
he did finish really, really badly this season. He finished 3.1 under his XG, but he's finished under every season of his career, including the championship. So we might just be talking about like a budget Gab Jesus on a much worse team than Arsenal, right? And he finishes with 6 and 10, and maybe that's just who he is. But the fact of
I think
no
that's
fucking
more likely
pens,
to me. He's still really young, but
he's still really young, and the fact of and they got better. Their attack legitimately got better.
As they got better and their attack got better, he got still not a lot of points.
Still, it's good.
Yeah,
but like the no pens thing, dude, is just can't be real. I mean, like when we were talking about him in post-mortem or precog in the past, we were always comparing him to Pookie because Norwich are always the worst team in the league. And Pookie got three pens one year and 2 pens another year. And like those would be significant points when we're talking about a 6 million forward.
I mean, all this said, he did finish 7th in points in forward. I mean, that's
exactly.
I mean, So, I mean, you add a few more, you add a few goals for pens, even if it's just 2. I mean, that's 10,
that's
11
a lot.
points. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he could just even though he might underwhelm slightly, from to the eye just by his price and his consistency of start. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's going to be weird because I could see starting with him next year, but I could also see just not owning him for a week next year based on prices of other players kind of thing. And
one thing that's interesting, and I don't think I've done this in recent memory, but I could be wrong, is that he really didn't return against any top team in the league, except he got one probably fluke assist against Man City in game week 25. It's like there is a world where you just don't start him in those games because they're going to have 20% possession and there's just such a little chance of a return. And then he's way better than 1 and 2.
The problem with that, though, for Bournemouth, I mean, that makes sense because when they're playing good teams, he's playing in his own half. His average position is probably the center circle, if not his own half. That's not 8 games a year. That's not the top 4. That's like 18 games a year. So how do you carry and rotate a player like that?
But I'm really just talking about the 8 games a year because it's obviously they're still gonna get dominated by the 6th place team or whatever.
Hang on. Let's. These are his returns: NFO, Leicester, Fulham, Leeds, Everton, Wolves, assist against City, aforementioned, Fulham again, Spurs, one of the worst teams in the league, Southampton, and Leeds.
Yeah, so maybe that's it. Maybe you just play him against the 6 worst teams in the league.
Yeah. Okay.
And then that's
interesting.
Hard.
That paints a picture, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really like looked at the team numbers, you know, breaking it up by opponent, but I'm sure it follows suit. They had a lot of those good attacking performances to end the season, and I'm sure it went hand in hand with who they were playing, right? It's not like they were just a 3xG against, you know, fucking Arsenal or some shit like that. Like that.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, probably.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Totally. All right.
That is interesting.
Next one is don't buy City defenders, you idiot. No City defender hit 100 points.
That's shocking. How many City players hit 100 points? Follow-up question.
1, 2, 3, a fucking shit ton. 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the midfielders did. Yeah, okay. Never mind. Well, Ederson over 100 points.
Well, yeah.
That's picking the game.
Every fucking year, dude, City defense does this. I think I'm like the worst at this. Like I can't stop the Sky Blue from entering into my fucking 15. It's disgusting. I disgust myself.
Diaz used to be the exception of the rule. He had 141 and 142 last 2 years.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, the perversion of Pep will not be oversmarted by any of us fucking plebs. I mean, he plays fucking 8-year-old Rico Lewis at whatever the fuck, whenever the fuck. It's insane. Yeah. He will play anyone, anywhere, anytime. And the juice is not worth the squeeze, right? I mean, we saw this year. It's just, they go up 3-0, 2-0. It's fucking, they don't give a fuck. They have the worst goalkeeper in the world, and everyone's bad. And it's just a mess. I mean, it's an actual mess to have any of them. It's like we get them to just fit like, oh, you're supposed to have 3 City players. No, but so like, which defender is best? Like they're all bad.
The reason we all started with one in Game Week 1 though is because they had an attacker. Right? They had Cancelo.
Right.
And he got a fucking ton of points. Right. Like he was the exception. Right. He gets 7, 11, 0, 1, 12, 2, 9, 1, 18. That's how his season started.
Yeah. And then
so that was a great pick. But now none of them get points. Like none of them, like they're all 100% reliant on the cleans.
Well, and they're also all center backs. I mean, in open play, it's just pick 3 of them and they just stand on the, you know, they don't, none of them attack, like you said, right? Yeah.
So I agree with you there. I mean, assuming Pep keeps the same like shape and stuff, which I do assume that he will. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a complete fire sale. Stay away. Don't even think about getting any of the City defenders in your team next year.
Good.
Complete, like not one all year.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't really see myself getting any.
Yeah.
It'll be weird to see what their prices are.
Yeah. I mean, they should be around 5 region. I don't think any can be 6. But I mean, even at 5.5, I mean, they're going to be stacked against like this team isn't a nails clean sheet team. None of them have attacking intent. Like, but why would you?
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second here, though, right? They get 13 cleans this year,
right?
I mean, I'm ballparking it, but what average of 20 cleans a year the 5 years prior?
Sure.
So if Ederson returns back to like normal levels, or maybe Ortega overtakes him because he's God, it's like, then wouldn't it be good? All of a sudden, isn't it good again? Like, let's just say a Kanji plays every game and they're a 20 clean sheet team. Then
I just can't see that.
They're gonna be value.
Yeah, I just can't see that happening, honestly.
But it's like it's a classic buy low, right? And like if there's a nailed-ish center back who's $5 million on City and they have upside of 21 cleans next year.
Yeah, but how many of those 21 cleans does the player you pick participate in?
That's a problem.
13 of them, and then he's just bad, you know.
And then he's just okay, pretty good.
No, I take your point, but
yeah, that's a tough one, and Liverpool sort of falls in the same category, right? I mean, they're 14 cleans this year. Every other year, they were top 2 or 3 defense, 20-ish cleans. So, like, what are we gonna do game week 1 with them? You know, depending on who they buy and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. So staying on, we have a lot of defense coming up right now.
Yeah, let's just do all the defensive stuff.
Yeah. So trips, what happened there? Lesson to learn, or was it hostage taking? What actually happened with this player this year?
I think roughly they ran really hot clean sheet wise first half of the season and ran really cold second half of the season.
So, I mean, we were talking about that on the pod, but we still cowardly kept him basically all year.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, was that a bet we should have made, or like that's where I'm stuck on, because
you're stuck on like, how could we have done better with trips?
Yeah. Like we were both, especially you preseason, like 5 million joke, attacking, like set pieces, good fixture. Well, maybe not the best fixture, but like good defense, whatever. Like he's a good pick.
Start every week, etc.
Really catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, pre-World Cup, like as better than you could ever in your wildest imagination have expected him to go. When they didn't clean, he was assisting. When they cleaned, he was assisting, getting bonus. Rose a million. Insane, right?
Insane.
We keep watching the team play, and you know they play this kind of stodgy football, but ultimately, you know, I mean, it's they're not Man City of 2021.
It's important context to start with right after the World Cup, because we all wild card, right? We all make an entirely new 11 with trips in it for sure, 100% of teams. Probably a second Newcastle defender for a lot of teams, right?
Yeah,
Botman or whatever.
Sure.
They start off with fucking 5 straight cleans.
Yeah.
So that like reinforces everything that we had from the first part of the season, which is just like, oh, these are all the best picks in the game.
Right. And then
the disaster starts.
Yeah. 1 clean for the rest of the year, basically.
And so I don't know.
And then the doubles hooked you a little bit because they had these doubles. You know, you hide them. The doubles are coming.
Worked. I mean, that ultimately worked.
Yeah,
he got 11 in the double in Game Week 36 double.
Yeah, if you didn't play him for every other game week, it was great. But for the 2 doubles, right? I mean, do you think that this is one where? Because I think when you're making bets on eye test versus the field and the ownership, I think you have to weigh more heavily, like, what is the cost? Like, how does this go really wrong? And think about, you know, what's the likelihood, right? With Haaland, for example, where say you're watching City, right? And you're looking at this, you're like, Haaland's like, oh, he's starting to play more peripheral. He's doing more hold up. He's not getting as many chances. You could live in that world, like, sure.
Yeah.
He's, 180% owned player every game week. So that's what you're betting against. And he can get a hat trick in any game week, even when he's playing more peripheral. Even if you're right in your assessment of this is happening, it's worse than at the beginning of the season. You know, he's not going to keep getting these hat tricks.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I hear
versus someone like Trips, who his like god tier game is
13,
clean assist, max 12 points.
12.
And that's it. You know, it's just 12 points. And that's literally the best game he had all year, the best game you could ever hope for.
Yeah.
You can't really get that fucking injured by that.
Well, unless they start the second half of the season with 5 straight cleans.
Yeah, I mean that's that's so improbable, and that's not
But it's really important, because the question is, and obviously we don't remember like our teams in game week 22 when the bad Newcastle started happening, but like, when would we have gotten rid of him is the question, right? Because like they're off the best defense in the league first half of the season. He's by far the best pick in the game first half of the season. Into World Cup break, 5 straight cleans. He's the best thing ever again.
And they're letting up 1 goal a game too, which is like the Wolves thing.
See,
they're not getting shellacked.
That's why I think there was really, I don't think there was like any reason to ever go off them, really, honestly, because also, this is freakish, but I just looked this up while you were talking, is he was 5.4 under his XA. He had 12.4 expected goals assisted and 7 IRL assists. That doesn't count fantasy assists on FPL.
Yeah, that's insane.
I
mean, is that just Shar missing headers and shit, or what?
It's actually mostly Shar. I mean, Shar, so Willick was 4 under his XG. Shar is 3.9 as his XG. Longstaff 2.6, Botman 2.5. Those are the biggest ones. So Botman and Shar, you would assume, are mostly off of corners.
Yeah.
And so, like, that is another reason why I think everyone was holding, because you watch the games. We watch the games every week. I mean, big chance after big chance, right? He's just like, oh my God, like they're missing this big header. Oh, this guy missed another big chance. And it's just like, what the fuck do we do with this? It's like, I almost don't care they're not keeping cleans, because it's like he should be getting an assist every other game. What the fuck?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, looking at the numbers contextually puts it in that place. But also, I do feel like, they had that little run after the World Cup, but they had the other competition stuff going on. Like, I feel like there was a stink around the team during the whole Barron run when they weren't keeping it clean. And we didn't listen to that also.
Yeah. Well, I think,
you know what I mean?
I think really the thing that we didn't listen to, just looking at his like game log right now, match log, is like game week 25, they blanked. Game week 24, they had Liverpool. Game week 26, they had at City.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And we definitely talked about it at the time.
Yeah.
And if you look what happened, he had 1 point against Liverpool, then he blanked, then 1 point against City. And neither of us got rid.
Yeah, the 5 against Wolves, like, kept him up a little bit, but then it was the double in 29, because we talked about them,
and the double in 29,
get him back at 29.
He gets 14.
We just did other stuff. I mean, the other thing too with him, I mean,
we probably benched him those game weeks.
Benching him is reasonable there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough, because I think with him, to me, it was more of like eye test versus ownership question. Of like, was this a bet that we're supposed to have made that we didn't do?
Right.
And ultimately, I mean, maybe the correct answer is, no, we had him cheap enough that he was someone that we should have just benched.
Right.
Which, I mean, except for the doubles. And that would have been great. I mean, if you bench him every game week except for the doubles, you're fucking flying, because he's not on your team when he's getting 1 or 2 points. It is an
interesting, just like, strategy thing. And I don't know the answer to this, but like, depending on how well or not well you're doing your season might determine if you like make that bet or not. But it's like, I'm like doing pretty well, right? Like I'm going pretty good. My rank keeps getting better. Like I want less players in the game almost, right? I like Holland's not on my team. Trips isn't on my team. They don't exist. Everyone I'm competing with has them. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I'm going good. I'm consolidating, but yeah, ultimately, you could have scored so many more points. I mean, he could have been the exact type of guy that we were talking about before. Is like you double move Trips and your other forward out for Kane.
Yeah,
like we all could have done that and just gotten like 1 billion Kane points.
Yeah,
and no one did.
Yeah. All right, so more of a macro look at
before you go there, what's his price next season?
I think 6.
Because he started at 5.
Yeah.
He went all the way up to 6.2, I think, and then back down to 6.
Yeah, maybe 6.5.
I think he's 6.5.
Yeah, I think 6 would be more appropriate, but we'll see. We'll see. But more of a macro defender question, just of looking at it. I mean, if there might be a meta shift here of just going cheap. I mean, just looking at the points, there just aren't a ton of points in defense. And, we were talking about, on and off during the season of just the increased quality of the teams in the league, right? Where there's better attacks, less Stoke Cities just giving up before the ball's kicked.
Yeah.
And the clean sheets just in general are down. And there's more money infused in the league. Just the teams are just better, right?
Yeah.
And teams aren't going in just, waving the flag. And, I think to me, when I look at it from that standpoint, goals are up, you should spend less money on defense because clean sheets will be down and they'll be less predictable and reliable. So I want to find the 4 or 5 guys in the game and get as many of them as I can, because, we're also seeing this kind of a little bit of a downturn in the wing back systems of what we've been seeing with, Spurs or Chelsea with Conte or whatever, where, all of a sudden in years past, we have, 6 defenders in the game who are really playing midfield, if not forward.
Yeah.
That's not really the case anymore. So, I just feel in general that we should be just spending a lot less on defense next year until proven otherwise, is something that
that was
taking
Doyle's
away from this
question.
season.
He said, "Our reliable defense is now a thing of the past and a waste of money, given the substitutions rule." Because that's also another thing that changed this year, which is
absolutely good point.
We're down 2-0. I'm subbing 5 attackers in the 75th minute. Why wouldn't I? Brentford were such an example of that, of changing the game with all their attackers. But I think that the other part of this is, again, back to a City and Liverpool question. Because this is historically low for both teams. Liverpool 14 cleans, City 13 cleans, 6 to 7 less than normal from the Klopp-Pep era. So when you look at that and you look at the total defender points, I mean, that's what's missing, right? Trips is number 1 at 198. Then fucking 42 points lower is Ben White. And what's missing is 3 to 4 Liverpool guys from 210 to 190, which is every other year that's been under Klopp. And a Diaz and a Laporte at 170 or something like that. Or a Cancelo at 190, whatever the fuck, Yeah. So that, I think, is the question.
I just think that this is more of a sign of things to come. I mean, this isn't... I feel like this is the new normal with the rest of the league and the rest of the teams. We also see, right, City of Liverpool don't do this for a fucking minute, but City try to contain and control games and keep meaningless possession, nothing to do with it. They do that all the time. They still fucking shit, because someone goes complacent, it's 3-0. They play 70 games a year, and it's oh, whatever, okay.
And Ederson had a really bad year.
Well, he sucks. I mean, it's oh, shit, it's fucking 3-1 instead of 3-0. Oh, shit, too bad, guys.
Yeah, who cares?
Whatever.
Yeah.
And, same with Liverpool. They keep the
Liverpool
line high.
are different, because Liverpool just went from good to really bad in 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, the spine was a little bit fucked, and they had a weird year. But
their numbers just went from top 3 to 10th or something.
Yeah, but I mean, that's also looking at game week 1. I mean, they're still going to be expensive. Trent's a separate question we will come on to, but we're not. I don't think you sit there oh, they're going to return to their glory years. Let me buy a 6 million Van Dijk and a 7-5 million Trent, because they're going to start rolling cleans in. That doesn't make sense. All the teams are good. That
is the question, though.
Yeah, but all the teams are good in the league, and I don't know. I think that it's going to continue in this light, in this vein.
It is kind of a funny. Speaking of just all the teams are good in the league point, a funny quirk that happens when all 3 promoted teams stay up, which rarely happens, is that all the teams aren't good. Because now all of a sudden, when you look at gambling odds of who's getting relegated, it's the new promoted teams mixed with all 3 of this year's promoted teams.
I think it's not. I wish I didn't say good. All the teams can score.
Can score.
We don't have Swansea. We don't have Cardiff City, where it's fucking. Nottingham is playing strike. It's
they had what was that guy's name who played striker for?
Was it Nottingham?
No, it was fucking God, Adam. He was a 4-5 mid playing striker, right?
And he was horrible.
I think he scored 1 goal.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm blanking.
I can't remember.
But that's the difference. Yeah. It's before we had Stoke, Swansea, but it's
West Brom.
They're
teams.
not scoring. Period. Now it's these teams are bad. There are 7 teams that suck in the league.
Yeah,
but all of them can score a goal.
Right.
That's the difference. So
I really want to remember this guy's name. It wasn't Coventry.
I thought it was Nottingham.
It was fucking
something ham. There's something.
Yeah, there's some kind of ham. It was Cardiff.
Yeah, no, that's something. Yeah, I know. No, but Cardiff.
You're trying to think of his name.
Yeah, they had a mid who was like in teams. I don't think he was a striker. I think he was a mid, but he was in teams and he was fucking awful. He was on set pieces. It wasn't Jude Bellingham, but it wasn't.
There is someone called
away.
Greg Cunningham.
I don't think that's.
But I don't think that was him.
Whittaker? Whitting?
Yes, yeah, close. I mean, there was Callum Peterson.
No,
Callum Patterson, rather. I think that might have been him.
I don't think so. I don't know. Someone will get in touch and illuminate our blind asses.
I can't remember. Fucking hell. But yeah, it's going to be a tough ask next year for our Game Week 1 teams, and it's going to be tough for FPL to price. It's a really hard pricing job for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking like the 4 or 5 defenders. Like I want to try and just grab them. You know, I mean, so Alex Moreno 4.5. Yeah,
I think he'll be 5.
Yeah, just because he's the most attacking on a team that's in the top half. It's possible.
They were so good second half of the year, right? Like Mings finished on 130 points, and you know, like they're a good team who's in Europe. Like they should have a 5 million attacking defender.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe it is then. We go back to, I mean, they're not all going to be 5. So maybe it's just a Villa. I mean, I had a note on Wolves, like a 4.5 Wolves
I like
defender.
that shout.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's just, I mean, maybe it's just you want the 4.5 Villa, and we go back to that full rotation fest of just 4 or 5 shitters who are center backs, left back, right back, not too attacking, whatever. And, you know, you're just playing the fixture game again. Yeah. I mean, I think we might be looking back at that.
Yeah.
What do you think about Trent? Is Trent
home?
Still?
It feels like home. I don't have numbers to support this, but I feel like home is like back this year.
Yeah,
like home. Like we really had the weird COVID year, then a weird follow-up year, and whatever. But like home cleans just felt bankable this year.
Yeah.
And away cleans, I feel like never happened. Right? Like Bournemouth scored at home, NFO scored at home, like. Fulham score at home. Leicester score at home. Like these teams who suck just score at home.
Yeah. 12th man. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. So I mean the rotation with the home emphasis seems might be good next year.
Might be a back to like 5 years ago where it's just like 1-5-0 and 1-4-0 and 3-4-5s and you rotate.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's fun. Rotate keepers even maybe.
Yeah, could do. The Pervening and Poro. What are you thinking about them? Because they sort of go against the grain where they're going to be the most expensive defenders in the team, have the attacking intent. Like, are they going to be worth it? Is the question.
So, I mean, Poro is my fucking guy.
Yeah, you love him.
But it's all dependent on the manager that Spurs get. Because if they don't get someone who plays through at the back, I mean, he probably won't even start.
He's horrible.
Yeah, unless he actually just starts in midfield because he can't play fullback in a 4. But if he's a wing back, I mean, he's like nailed in my team. He's so good attacking.
Yeah.
He's just like the new fucking Doc, Perry, whoever you want to throw in there.
I think Doc is a good comp.
He's so quick. He's actually got goals in him.
He shoots so much.
Creative. He shoots a lot. Yeah, he's just great. Perv is such a weird one, and he murdered me this season because I went off him for Dunk, who was horrible, but
he murdered everyone that didn't own him.
Yeah, he murdered everyone that didn't own him. I mean, he's weird also because like his attacking sets are pretty good, but like not amazing, you know.
But when you watch the game, he's
sometimes really involved, sometimes invisible. But Brighton are good. He somehow can start every fucking game in the world. He's a fitness machine. Yeah, I mean, Brighton, I don't know. Are Brighton going to keep cleans? I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a hard time reading it.
They're going to have a big summer. You know, we have to see what their team's going to be totally different.
They're going to be totally different. Probably lose Caicedo. Probably lose McAllister.
Yeah. What do you think his price is going to be? Perv? Is he 5.5?
Yeah.
5.5?
Yeah, I think he'll be 5.5. Yeah. I mean, because he wasn't even starting that. He was on-off starter for the first, like, third-ish of the season. And then he just started every game. It was great for the entire rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard time seeing him as a goer at 5'5". I think that's
probably
tough
not my
ask.
team.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, as much as I rate Brighton and De Zerbi and everyone involved there, I mean, just look at Liverpool as an example, or I'm sure other teams in the past. I mean, it's fucking hard to just change over 3 or 4 starters all in one fell swoop, especially if they're like essential starters. So if they just like get rid of their entire starting midfield and it's just a couple other gem-y type guys, I don't know. I think they'll probably take a step back next year would be my like early prediction about Brighton.
Yeah. Yeah, they should, but
they should.
See. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for defense.
Yeah. Well, Trent. We didn't talk about Trent.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Is there anything to say? I mean, there's 2 like main things. I think 3 main things. There's one which is the new position, which is great for him. It's just great for him in FPL, great for him IRL. More passes, more opportunities, more shots, etc. That looks good. The other thing is if you include the entire second half of the season, not just when he switched positions, 200-point pace, back to normal. Great. Love to see it. And then the third thing is what we talked about already, which is like, how much do you believe that this was the anomaly? Because again, 5 out of the 5 last seasons, we're talking about a top 2 or 3 defense with 17 to 21 cleans every year. And then this year they're just bad and like 10th defense and 14 cleans. So if you think that may come back and this was the blip, I mean, we're talking about like he's just back to being by far the best defender in the game. So
where do you land on it?
Yeah, I think it's a big enough sample size to take the post World Cup, which I think is 18, their last 18 matches. I think that's a big enough sample to be like looking good on 200-point pace in that slice, revamping the midfield, hopefully in the transfer market. Like, yeah, I think he should just be auto game week 1 for me. Yeah.
7-5, he's going to be the
put him in. He's going to just go back to normal. I think. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. It's hard with Trent because it's like he's one of my favorite players in the league.
Yeah,
I love owning him. I love watching him. I love him.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's such a huge amount of investment.
It is, and he burned the fuck out of everyone for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 2 returns in the first half of the season.
Yeah, the Bournemouth game, and that was it.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
2 returns and 2 cleans.
Yeah.
And one of them, again, was that same Bournemouth game.
Yeah, it was a horror show.
That's fucking insane for 16 game weeks.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know. It was just kind of back to normal and just scoring tons of points and great picks. So I lean more on that.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Brentham, Tony's banned. So... I mean, as Wissa is cometh the man, cometh the hour, it seems like.
Yeah.
He's got to be reclassed at forward, though, doesn't he? That's
Has
what I'm
to
in.
be.
That's sus for me, then.
He and Bumo will be forwards.
Yeah.
And he and Bumo are both picks, I think. I mean, every game that Tony didn't start, Bumo scored in. And Wissa, really? In his occasional starts, when he played in the middle, because sometimes he was like left wing, he usually scored.
Yeah, and Bumo's going to be on pens.
Yeah, so great picks. My only fear really is that like actually losing their best player just makes them a lot worse. And like the occasional game where Tony didn't play, they happened to play really well, but in a longer sort of sample, it's like, well, Brentford are actually just significantly worse this year.
That's very possible.
That's very possible. Tony's very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be fading them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Chelsea and Spuds out of Europe. Chelsea, as usual, has me extremely interested just because, they've been kind of a mess for a while in FPL and IRL, but, bringing Pochettino in.
Yeah.
Looking at their squad, granted that it will look very different in 2 months' time, they're going to be fucking cheap as shit. Like, these players will be cheap as
Everyone's going to be cheap as hell. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yep.
He's going to whip them into shape. They play one game a week.
Yep.
I mean, I would bet that they they finish top 4 next year.
They're going to be pretty good odds for that,
close.
I'm sure.
If
I
not
think
4th,
they're like
5th, whatever. They're going to be
I think
back,
they're like 6th in the title odds to just to like put a number on it, which means that they're just outside the top 4.
Yeah, and I think it's not going to be by
wise.
15 points. Like, it should be close in my opinion.
Yeah,
looking at this,
I mean the top 4 odds are and City are minus 2,000, so whatever. But then it's Arsenal, Liverpool, both minus 150, Man United minus 125, Newcastle plus 125, Chelsea plus 150.
Yeah.
That's the top 6 like odds for finishing top 4.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, so they're gonna bounce back and be good. That's what everyone thinks and is feeling pretty confident about. So what do we do with that?
Yeah, I mean that's the question: is what do we do with that? I mean, I know
what do we do with that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just that's all we do with it now, and we just keep a really close, because without preseason, without the summer, without knowing what the squad's going to actually look like as Game Week 1 approaches, it's maybe just it's a waste of time to speculate so extremely.
Right.
But I think it's something that maybe falls by the wayside. And just looking at the FPL landscape of taking them for granted, like, oh, they suck. Like, we don't have to think about them or consider them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could very easily see myself entering Game Week 1 next season with 3 Chelsea players, very easily.
Absolutely.
I would be surprised
we
if I
just
have
need
less than 2.
Yeah, the thing, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I think the thing that we need for now to remember is just like, forget the season ever happened. Like, truly just pretend it didn't happen. Because it was a weird anomaly. I mean, literally the last time they were this bad, they won the league the next year with Conte.
Yeah.
And Hazard scored like 4 goals that year. And then he was completely back to normal, like for those who don't remember. So just forget it happened. We'll see what their team looks like. We'll see who plays in preseason. We'll see who Poch likes. Take it from there.
Yeah. I mean, they have world-class players up and down the team. So
yeah. They just spent £600 million this year.
Yeah. Mitro. I mean, I put Forgotten Man, but I mean, what a fucking year from this guy to somehow finish on 107 points. Like, it felt like...
That's how few he finished on?
How many pens did he miss? 30?
He missed 4 pens, which is a record.
He missed 4 pens and got 7 yellow cards. So he's just accumulating the negative. But there was a period where he was in literally every team.
Yeah. I definitely, I 100% had him.
You had, I mean, you reaped the rewards, but I mean, what are we looking at with him next year? The Milv is still there. They're presumably going to get a couple of better players than they have this year. I mean, is he a pick, or is he just like a bad, more expensive Solanke kind of thing?
I think he is a pick, but you just want him for like a run of good fixtures or something.
But he's the opposite of Solanke with that, because he scores against anyone. You never know what he's doing.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, do you believe in first half Fulham or second half Fulham? I believe in second half Fulham.
Yeah.
I mean, their underlyings were
this
in
reminds
the
me of the
Kane
year. This reminds me of the Kane argument. Like, is that even a problem for Mitrovic?
Right.
Like, okay, they're bad, but they're not going to score 0 goals for 10 games in a row.
Right. But they're also probably not going to get 8 pens. They had 8 pens.
Done?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's going to get his goals. He shoots so much.
Yeah.
And he's just the guy. But he he's an impossible figure.
I like him a lot.
He's an impossible FPL problem because you don't know, like you said, when the good period's coming or the bad period's coming. But now that I have the FPL page open, he didn't really have a bad period, right?
No, he just fucking gets banned and shit.
Anytime he started,
and he's all the time.
Anytime he started, he was good. His longest run of starts and blanks,
he scores every game basically.
Was 20 through game of 20 through 23. He started 4 games in a row and blanked all of them. But like other than that, he never really had a run of blanks. Other than injured and suspension.
Yeah, I mean, he's to me like a 20-goal player.
He could be,
and I'm interested. I'm interested.
Yeah.
I think
you talked me into it. Yeah. I mean, I think that he actually just never really got worse when the team got worse.
Yeah, like I mean,
he still just did his thing, right?
Yeah, like I'm looking and thinking of like Holland, 8-5 Watkins, 6-5 Mitro as like a good front line for Game Week 1.
Mitro finished the season on 4.4 points per start, which is a 167-point season. It's great.
Yeah.
Like that, I'd kill for my 6'5" forward.
If he doesn't make pens, it's 180 or something.
Plus 20, yeah.
Yeah.
How can how can you be this bad at pens?
He's a fucking joke.
He's an actual joke at pens.
Taiwo with the late feasting from the Taiwo.
Yeah, Hemdog asked about him too. What do you think about him? Is this real? Is he really this fucking good?
It's really difficult, I think, with him because, we didn't see a ton of minutes from him. But at the end of the season, they were really just, funneling to him. Yeah. And he's, I don't know. I mean, what to make of him as a player? Like, I don't believe he's like very good in his movement, but he's a fucking monster. And when they pass the ball to him, it just like sticks to him like glue.
No one bullied Liverpool more than him.
Yeah, like he gets in front of the defender and they don't move him. Like
it was
he
insane.
Has the position. So he has some, it feels like they just started to learn how they were supposed to be feeding him and he was eating. I mean, he's going to be like a 6 million, is he going to kick on from here? And, he had 10 goals this year. Like, could he do like 15?
I mean, he was legit really good for Union the season before. That's who they were. Yeah, and it was Farmers League and etc. But like Union also like finished 5th, but actually they were bad. They're not like a good team. They long ball sort of play similarly. I mean, he looks more like he's going to be way underpriced to me almost than Mitro. I mean, because like he just is an immovable object who's just going to get his shots whether you want him to or not.
Yeah.
And like,
so like, I think he's like just like a better like Solanke, but I still feel like Mitro just has more proven.
Mitro definitely has the higher ceiling, right? He shoots 1.5 more times per game than Taiwo.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And he's been doing it for a while. Like he knows where the goal is. Like Taiwo still, I watch him and I'm just like, you're raw and somewhat of a donkey.
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing this? I mean, he had a couple of bangers, but I just still watch him. I'm just like, are you like good? Like, I don't know.
I think he's
I don't know.
on the list of like very solid, won't make that much of a difference between if you pick like him or Dom or a promoted good striker or whatever, and they're
this
your
is like
11th
the 4
or 12th attacker
conversation.
Yeah, like I think it actually just won't make that much of a difference in these guys. I wish he was on pens. That would be nice.
Well, yeah, that would be fun. But then it would make Gibbs White less of a pick, so I don't.
Yeah.
All right, last one for me is the Deckers. Deckers at Arscast. He'll probably be 5-5, right?
Yeah. I mean, did he get any returns this year? He had some, right?
He had a couple. But, I mean, look, it looks like this is written on the wall that, he's going to be an Arsenal product.
They bid like 90 mil for him already or something.
$90 million or whatever. Xhaka had 153 points this year.
Insane.
And he can't even run. I mean, he is a fucking geriatric. Put him in a wheelchair. I think Declan Rice is going to be an unreal FPL pick next year. Honestly, I do. Because he's going to be playing the same role and he's actually good and he can actually run. I mean, people were bringing Xhaka in at the beginning of the season before he died and, it was dead and buried because he played, 10 games and that was all he had in his legs.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Decker's, dude, he's good. He's a beast. He's a fitness monster. I feel like he's going to just be like, come straight in and just be great. And at 5'5", I feel like he's going to be in no teams. And just that pick that's like, he's like, DM from West Ham, like whatever. He's just at Arsenal now. But like, he's just going to be sick, I feel like. Like he could do like 9 and 9, I think, easily this year.
I love Deckers. And I think whoever gets him is getting an incredible player. And like if he goes to Arsenal, incredible. They're going to be better next year because of him. But I don't really think he's going to be an FPL pick. I just think he's going to be a little more double pivoty than Xhaka is. I mean, Xhaka, like playing DM those years when Arsenal were genuinely bad and he was getting booed off the pitch was an anomaly. Like he was never really a DM. He was like, I have a fucking rocket launcher left foot, incredible passer, do more attacking A&E stuff. And then like this year he was just unleashed. I just like
he just had no legs. I mean, they should have just done this 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, right. And he could have been like incredible. And he actually had some good attacking seasons.
Yeah. Well,
but I just don't know if Declan sometimes scores worldies and like he's good at header and like he's so good at a lot of things. But I don't know if he actually is a good attacker in the way that Xhaka is. And I think that I don't, in my head, it would be a stretch to be like, Declan's going to like make a run to the byline and cut back to Jesus. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, see, I'm completely on the other side. I think I'm so confident and comfortable that he will do all of the things and more. Like, I think he's just world class. And, to me, watching him with Western is like, he is genuinely in prison for 86 minutes of every game. But we've seen him do extravagant things like that for 2 minutes a game under Moyes. Yeah. Where he like was like, okay, fuck you, grandpa. I'm going to do what I want. Like take me out.
And he's such a good dribbler.
Yeah. I mean, because he has all of those skills. We've seen those skills. We've seen him go to the byline. We've seen him score bangers from the outside the box. We've seen him score as a late runner, and give him the left side of the pitch. And I just feel I just can mind palace that out. That I could see that.
I definitely agree. It's possible. I just think that the best value you get out of him is if he does a little more DM-y stuff, which he's already world class at. And like risking making him more free 80 is like, I don't want to spend 90 million on a thing I'm not sure he can do. I want him to just make us like even more defensively dominant and like let Zinchenko go forward. Just let someone else do it.
He's just not as good. I think that's the difference though, is that it's not going to be, this is the thing every game. I think that based on enemy, based on game state, based on where the ball is, that he has the legs to do all the sixing that you need and all the aiding that you need. Like, you're not compromising one for the other.
It's a big ask for like 50 games. If he starts every Prem and Champions League game.
Well, that's up to Arteta to manage it. I mean, maybe it's, for 40 games, but he's 23 or whatever. Like, it's a big ask, but he's been playing 3K plus minutes for years, and he's always sprinting in stoppage time.
For sure. I mean,
I think it's just exciting. I don't know.
It's exciting for sure. My imagination
with him, he reminds me of like a little like Gallagher kind of a player, where it's like, he was doing the 6 shit with West Brom when he came to Palace. And I'm like, he can do the shit. And then he does all the shit. This is a similar thing.
It's more like, where did Arsenal where did Arsenal's cliff come?
Right.
And I think it just came when they just couldn't stop anyone countering.
Yeah. And
in the second half of the season. And they just got destroyed. And like, that was while Saliba was still fit, you know, and then they just got even worse after Saliba got injured, but they were already bad. And I just think that like, it turns a little bit more into double pivot-y territory with them too. And I think that's the right thing to do. And I think they'll still get enough attacking from the 4.5 or 5-ish attackers that they let attack.
So for sure. Yeah, that's for sure possible. Yeah,
Arsenal are going to be super, super fucking interesting in the game next season.
I mean, we're also, just shoehorning him into the team like this is a done deal. It's not. We also don't know what else they do. So
yeah.
All right, that's it for me.
Yeah, there were some other topics that I had, but we're also at 2 hours already. Should we just maybe bang out these lifestyle questions and then anything else that's left over, I'll just push to the Patreon episode?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Let's do that. There's 4 lifestyle questions here.
All right, we could do that.
All right, this one's straight for you. Noka said, Walsh, what's a TV show that you watch with your kid that you actually enjoy and one that you hate? Coco Melon. Yes, I've been up since 5:30 a.m. with my little terrorist.
Oh my god. No, we don't do that. I've never watched an episode of that, and neither has my son.
Okay.
We have a very limited TV game here in the Walsh household. We have Sesame Street's on the cards.
Great.
We have Daniel Tiger.
No,
I love Daniel Tiger.
Okay.
Love it. I love that show. It's like the Mr. Rogers conglomerate of whoever he left behind. I don't know who that is, but it's like his company, but it's basically just a animal plus like cartoon version of the show where it's like Hello Neighbor, like a lot of that action going on. Love that show.
Love Mr. Rogers. Yeah.
It is phenomenal.
Okay. Is there one that you hate?
I mean, I don't like Sesame Street. I don't enjoy it. We also have Sid the Science Kid, which is a really bad. It's like a really badly animated show, but it's like these like little science lessons, and there are these songs in that. I honestly they play on repeat on loop in my head when I close my eyes when I hit the pillow.
Oh no!
Like they're just deep ingrained in my soul.
Is it like?
But it's actually it's a reasonable show. Level? No, it's like it's a reasonable show. Good. Yeah, Bill Nye was incredible, but it's a reasonable show. But whatever.
Okay.
Oh no, my earbuds just died.
Oh, you're fine.
It's gonna be. It's not fine.
Okay, should we end the pod?
I think we have to end it. Maybe we have to push lifestyle to the. Look at this.
All right, we're pushing everything else still after.
Orange.
Oh fuck! Let me slap an ass. We did get a new sign up. Postseason sign up from Anders Hersvik. So, let's get in there, baby. Thank you, Anders. And then, great season. See you guys next season. See Patreon subscribers on Monday. Any last words, Walsh?
Yeah, we'll do the rest of the lifestyle on Monday and do the other questions, and I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, brother. Check us out at FMLFPL.com. Follow us on Twitter at FMLFPL, sportsthepager.com/FMLFPL. Subscribe, rate, review.